So hi everybody, my name is Paul Heslop. I'm a developer here at RCS, been here about 12 years. Love integrating Counterpoint and customizing it and making it do things that really help as many folks as we can. And this tool certainly is that. As Brian said, it's very popular. A bunch of our customers use it, from two-user mom and pop shops all the way up to multi-location giant organizations who run a ton of reports. And each scenario and use case, they love it and have great things to say about it. So I just have a couple of slides here, and then I'm actually just going to go into a quick demo and show you what it looks like, and then we can have some questions at the end. But I expect it's probably 15 minutes or so. Really, there's not much to it. So first off, an overview of the modification. So it's not just a clever title. What it does, it allows you to schedule any Counterpoint crystal report that is on a Counterpoint menu to run automatically on a daily or weekly or hourly schedule. And the delivery mechanism for that is email, and it can support as many emails as you want. But really, if there's a report button in Counterpoint that you would normally run, you can just set it and forget it and have it hit your inbox or your manager's inbox or your employee's inbox at whatever interval that you need to. Next, it is, unlike some mods out there, it is pretty well integrated into standard Counterpoint screens. So when you have it on your menu, really what that means is it looks like it's supposed to be there. A lot of times you have these mods and they're kind of weird, clunky screens, or they, you're like, is this Counterpoint, or who do I contact about this? This doesn't look familiar. This mod looks like a Counterpoint screen, and if you're familiar with doing things like purchase orders or transfers where you have a header and a line, the functionality of this will be very easy to pick up for you. Also, and this is kind of the newest functionality or improvement, we've really streamlined the installation. Again, sometimes with Counterpoint mods, it takes like a master's degree in Insanity and 50 hours and troubleshooting this and that, and phone calls and configuration. We've really taken a lot of the guesswork out of that and simplify the installation as much as possible. We have a little installer package. It doesn't take much time before you're up and running with the tool. A couple other things, newer additions, it supports multiple export options, not just PDF, so it will do Excel, CSV, and different formats. Again, you can email it to multiple addresses, not just one address. There's no limit on the amount of people that you can email any given report. And really the most important point on this entire slide, and probably in the entire presentation, is its main purpose is it's just a gigantic time saver. I mean, if you're used to running Counterpoint reports like a by group report or a monthly tax report or a transfer advice, if you have super high volume, that report could take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even longer. So you might have employees who come in early, either once a week, and spend a couple hours generating those reports so they're on your desk at 9 a.m. in the morning, or they work late just waiting on a progress bar. So with this tool, you don't have to worry about that. You can schedule your most intensive reports that hit your system the hardest right in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. When there's no activity, and then you can wake up in the morning and have that in your inbox. Okay, some of the specific features, I addressed this a little bit on the last slide, but it does support multiple formats. So the default one is PDF, and strangely enough, that is my favorite because PDF data never changes. So I always think of reports if you get like an Excel that's forwarded around and it suddenly gets, parentheses 1, dash edit, over and over again, the more that it's forwarded, you kind of have trouble trusting those numbers. So that's why we default to PDF, but Excel, CSV, text, and Word is also available. Another cool feature of this is there are kind of what I like to call other reports in Counterpoint, or special functions. And those are any report screen that you pull up, and they have not only a preview and an email button, but they have a generate button. So the tool will also support all of that functionality. And the primary examples of that are your advice reports. So purchasing advice and transfer advice, sure, they're just regular reports. You can pull them up, give them a date range, and look at the PDF. But they also have a button where if you press it, it will take that preview information from the report and actually generate purchase requests for you or generate transfer advice for you. Um, and with this tool, you can schedule those. Um, and it might not sound like much, but if you have a super high volume business, those reports can just take a long time. And really, you might just want to set them on a Friday, wake up on Monday, and just have your purchase requests ready to go, ready to review, and ready to post, and just not have to worry about it. We can also automate AR customer statements. So if you run your AR report and you hit email, you'll notice that you get a pop-up that says you're about to email your customers, or you're sure you want to do that, and you'd have to hit OK. We can schedule that out. So if you want to send AR info, every week, or statements, I'm sorry, every week, you can do so automated, set it and forget it. And then just any other tool, the bigger one would be interface distributions. So if you have already an automatic GL like QuickBooks interface, you can close the loop on that and not only automate your QuickBooks interface at the end of interface distributions, but you can also automate the actual running of that report. So if you interface every day, you can set the interface to run at 7:30 p.m. once you're done posting. You'd post all your activity for the day. Interface would run automatically through this tool, and then that would automatically feed into your QuickBooks. And then batch processing, that's kind of a cool one if you do a lot of order management or batch release. Some folks that take advantage of that are seasonal rental places like sports shops. So they'll do, seasonal rentals, and if they have deposits or somebody doesn't return the equipment, so they have open lines left on the order, whether it's ski boots or skis or something, they can go through and release those at the end of the season, to collect, and that can all be automated. So next on to the demo. That was it for slides. So I'll bring up Counterpoint. As I said, this is integrated into Counterpoint. And actually, when we install it, the installer just adds a folder here called Report Scheduler. And I'll back up just for a second. I did touch on the streamlined installer, but this is what it looks like. So when we install this for you, or when you get this mod from us, it's really as simple as opening up this application. It gives you high-level information about your system. You press install, it will install all of the back-end files and scripts and boring SQL stuff for you, and it will also automatically put this folder and all the buttons and functionality on your menu for you, so you don't have to go into individual menus and make sure that your managers have access or your admins have access or any of that. It's all handled by this one button click. Okay, so once it's installed, we have a report scheduler button here. And we have two buttons. This first one is saved report parameters. This is the standard Counterpoint saved report parameters. So if I were to search for save report parameters in regular Counterpoint, it comes up in system utilities. We've just made a copy of it. And what this button allows you to do is to look across all of your reports in Counterpoint and see which ones you've saved. And to do that, you just bring up the screen and you do a little search. We've added a keyword search here on what you name the report so you can easily search. So say, for example, I wanted to schedule my top tier customers, which is my loyalty report. I just do a search for top tier, comes up right here. I press OK. From this screen, I get a high level view of what type of report I should expect. I have my parameters listed here, my report name, any other details. And then from here, I can also preview the report by pressing Run Report. and then I can see if it is what I am expecting. So when you run the report, again, everything's based off saved report parameters. So anything that is set in here in these fields, when the report runs, that is what you're going to get. So that's very important also when considering dates. So if you ever want to run like a ticket history for yesterday or last week, you want to make sure you have a dynamic date set here like last year, because this will always put in last year. So if you were to run this today and hard code today's date, if it runs next week, it would still run for today. So you just have to be careful with that. From here, before you run it, you just want to preview it, make sure that the report comes up and it's what you expect. And once you're ready to schedule the report, it's as simple as pressing this button up here that says schedule report. And what this does is it brings up another Counterpoint screen. And in this top locked information, we have high level information about what the report is that you're scheduling. So I'm scheduling, it's technically the loyalty point history report, but I've named it top tier customers. And then in here, I have my list of schedules. And it's really as simple as emailing it to myself. So I can put in my email address. I can put in multiple email addresses by doing a comma. I can do a semicolon, however you want. And I think the character limit here is something like 1,000, but you can always set up more lines there, but really there's no limit. It emails the reports one at a time. And then put in a subject here and just a body. And I want to make sure that it's turned on, and I want to run this at 5 a.m. every day. So I just press 5 a.m. And I have the option here to run it on a daily/weekly schedule. So this would be if I want it, 7 days a week, I would check all these boxes. If I didn't want it on the weekends because nobody's in the office, I uncheck those boxes. If I want to send it monthly, if it's, a monthly report, maybe like a tax report or, monthly performance, I would just check off monthly here, and I could select the day of the month that I want to send it. And it's smart enough to figure out that old nursery rhyme or the short months like February and June. So if it's February and you set it for the 31st, it'll automatically run on the 28th, the last day of the month. But for now, just to set this up, I'm going to run it for 7 days a week. And then finally, you have a drop down here for your format. So you can do PDF, Excel, Word, CSV, or text. I'm going to stick to PDF. And just like regular Counterpoint, I'm going to tab through and save my changes. You see, once I do that, I have my schedule up here. I can go ahead and save it. And for an example, if I save it and 2 days down the road, somebody says, why did you put the subject of that automated email like that? Or I wanted Bob in accounting to get that report. You can just come back into your scheduler. You use the VCR buttons, and I can see my scheduled report, and I can select it, and I can edit it without having to delete it or disrupt the schedule. I can just add emails on the fly. I can change the subject. I can change the body. They could say, why'd you send it to me on Friday? I'm never in the office. You just uncheck Friday, save your changes. You also have the ability to send a test report. So if you manage your Counterpoint for your customers, and you want to set it up for them, say they're not tech savvy or they don't want to set it up, you could set up a report, and to confirm that it sends, we've created a little test button. So you would just press this, gives you a little message that just says, okay, it's queued, it's in the reporting queue, and you will get it the next time the scheduler runs. The scheduler it's a background process on your computer, runs about every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So when you set up a report, you get it within 5 or 10 minutes. So if you set it for 5:03 a.m., you might get it at 5:05, you might get it at 5 a.m. It's give or take 5 minutes. That's never really been an issue in any implementation of the tool for any of our customers. And then one final thing is I touched on this generate data function. So it might be kind of hard to remember what reports have that special functionality. We've kind of built in a little fail safe for that. So if again, I start at my saved report parameters, and I've created this one in advance, but say I want to do my transfer advice, I would pull up my saved transfer advice save parameter, just confirm, okay, yep, that is my to and from location groups. These are my settings. This is my min max for quantities. All looks good. Assume that I've already tested it out. I can schedule this report. Again, same screen, very consistent, brings back up transfer advice. I can send this to another email address. I can just call this transfer advice. Do not reply. I'm going to send this at 5 a.m. and just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I want to make sure that I add this to the schedule, and I can see it right there. And if this is one of those special reports, when I go to save it, it's going to give me a reminder that, oh, hey, you selected a special report. If you want it to actually generate the data for you, that is actually press let's create transfers, you would check off this generate data box to make sure that it will send those. And if you don't want it to do that, you just uncheck the box. And if the box is not checked, it will just run the actual report itself and not generate the transfers. One of the reasons for this option is you can use them in tandem, or in parallel, I guess. You could set up 2 lines here. Say you want to run transfer advice at 5 in the morning. So you would set up one set of save parameters, which actually runs the transfer advice at 5 in the morning. And then probably at 5:15 or 5:30, you would set up the same exact report parameter set, but don't check off generate data. That way you can wake up in the morning and you can get an emailed PDF of the transfer summary, basically your preview report. Then you can log into Counterpoint and go to transfers and see all of the transfers that were created. And again, the same thing works for purchasing advice and any other batch utility in Counterpoint. And really, that's it. It's short and sweet. I guess I always say that about this presentation, but there really isn't too much to it. It's a very, very popular modification for us. We keep it maintained. We're constantly adding features and functionality and taking suggestions of how to make it better. So if you do go forward and install and start using it, we love to hear feedback. We also deliver it with a full set of documentation, including screenshots and kind of descriptions on how to use it and troubleshooting steps, and who to contact in case of any issues that may arise.
Thanks, Paul. A lot of great stuff there. We have a handful of questions that have come through. If anyone has other questions, please enter them into the chat or into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen there. The first question comes from Mike L. If they already have this installed, but it's the old version, and how do they upgrade to this newer version that allows for different formatting?
So our installer will take care of that for you. So when we built this installer, what we can do is run it on any system and it will detect an already existing implementation of the scheduler, and it will save off and keep all of your schedules, then copy in the update, and then make sure your schedules won't disappear.
So should they contact their account manager to get the update?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that would be the through the account manager, and then kind of get those details worked out. And then what would happen is that a ticket would be created, and one of our techs would perform the upgrade.
Great. Michael Stoll has a question. He's in finance and he uses a report once a month, needing the data for the entire month, normally the previous month. He wants to know if you can show him how.
I mean, It depends on the report, but I guess if I would go to maybe something like ticket history, and this kind of would apply to any report in Counterpoint. So if you pull up a report in Counterpoint, you have your main tab here, which kind of high-level filter stuff, and then you have other tabs which represent what's called a table in the database. It's where all your information is stored. So on one of these tabs, if you don't see what you want to filter on, you can right-click here, go down to Customize, and the date fields are kind of special. So say, for example, I'm going to change this to business date, because history reports, you should always filter on business date and never on posting date, unless you want to wait a long time. So date fields are special, so you make sure you filter on business date, and then if you select this operator here, you have different options. So this is how you would do it. You just make sure that you probably run this on the 1st of the month. You would say, give me data from last month, and then you could simplify it. Just assume these are correct, just for the sake of this. Then you would go to Options, Save Parameters, and then I could go last month tickets, press Save, close, and if I want to go schedule that, I go to my report scheduler. Again, always start with saved report parameters. I can do a search, and I would say last month tickets. That's what I just created. I want to schedule this. I'm going to schedule this to paul@gmail.com. Ticket report, do not reply. Send this at 9 a.m. on the 1st of every month. And save it. Simple as that.
Great. Hopefully that answered your question, Michael. If not, feel free to reach out. Marketing at Retail Control Systems or your account manager as well. All right, I have a question from Nick from Carnegie Museum of Glass. It's kind of long, so try and stay with me. We use Counterpoint as a central database for all attendance keeping and revenue. If another system is used to collect attendance or revenue, we bring a transaction into Counterpoint to record that. Most of this is automated. However, some outlier transactions require a manual transaction to get the revenue into Counterpoint. We are always a day behind when we create these transactions. For example, today we created transactions for yesterday. On Monday, we do transactions for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This needs to be completed prior to reports being generated. Is there a way to use this tool to say run X report, Y report, and Z report for this date and have them run at a push of a button and not a specific time?
So not automated. What you could do, if you just want to press buttons, you could create a folder here. You could add your three report buttons and just give them default parameters, either for a user or for a menu code. So you could open up that folder, press report A, it comes up automatically with the parameters that you want, and you press run, and you do the same for B, and then you do the same for C. If I'm understanding that correctly.
Okay.
And Nick, feel free to shoot me a message after this if you want, or we can schedule a time for a phone call if you want to go through the details of that. But I'm sure we can come up with a answer for you. But specifically to this tool, this is the purpose and the design of this is for hands off, set it and forget it. Basically to automate button presses.
All right. Next is thanks. Matt has a question. Do you have a task list on how to pull tickets for a register on a particular day to observe items rang up and cash tendered?
Not sure what you mean by task list. We can certainly point you in the direction of the correct reports to use. You'd probably be looking at either a drawer summary report or a by item by customer or by customer by item report, or potentially just a by group report. There's quite a few different reports that can give you that kind of data in various formats.
Okay. Yes, Matt, it sounds like it's possible. Just finding the best way to go about that. We'd have to work with you on that. So.
And any one of those reports, as long as it's in Counterpoint and it's a button, it can be automated by this utility. So if an example of that, if I pull up sales history reports and I want to look at my by group report, as long as it comes up here and I can save a parameter set, I can automate it. Here, so, I might want to look at my ticket history line item number, and I want to see my top 10 sales for, my week to date, just as an example. And then from here, I could further drill down on a specific store, a specific station, or even a specific drawer if I wanted to, or even very specific categories. I can slice and dice this filter so I get just exactly the data that I'm looking for and not too much data. And then you would just go to options, save, and then just as I pulled up that ticket history example a few minutes ago, it would instantly show up in the scheduler and you could automate it.
Great, thanks. TJ is wondering, besides the ability to generate reports in formats other than PDF, is there any other advantages to this new tool compared to the previous reporting tool?
Just a little bit of added functionality. There's a couple little bug fixes based on different things that we saw implementing it in different environments with permissions and how Counterpoint opens and certain bugs with reports that we've worked around. But I am a strong believer in, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So if you have a tool, if you have an older version of this tool and it works and you love it and you're used to it, stick with it. Keep it easy, That's my opinion.
Great. And one other question, the cost for the tool?
We can have your sales rep reach out for the most up-to-date cost. There is a one-time installation cost, and I believe there is a recurring service cost. I think that's tied to users, Counterpoint users, for ongoing, support and maintenance of the utility.